back. This is Boomer Life on July8th2017.
Tiny bubble in the
Song.
We'll give you context on this in just a second. I'm Peter Shadd on July8th2017 and Boomer Life. Today we're talking about an amazing company, ElementLifestyle Retirement, and their very special project that is in the pre-sale process, Opal. And in just a moment, we're going to meet one of the first residents. The Tiny Bubbles references to Don Ho, who's the president of the company, and everybody always teases you about, are you the same guy? But you don't have to sing, Don. It's okay.
No, I was singing
We always
too.
used to sing for our residents.
On many occasions.
Yeah.
They put in a Hawaiian night and asked me to at least start off a song. And I say, Tiny Bubbles. And that is about it.
How about a hula skirt? Will you wear? No. Candy is Don's daughter, and Candy's helping to market this beautiful building, which falls under a philosophy that is completely unique. Let's talk about that philosophy, and then I want to introduce our guests, because this is the reason why we're here. What is the philosophy? Why is this building, Opal, at Cambie and 25th, so different?
Okay, before we talk about Opal, I never like to advertise my buildings.
That's okay.
So I just want to say how I then went into this business of providing support and care for seniors. So having done the last development as a condo development, I felt tired, you know. A developer is always not a good name, because people say you are a greedy developer because you develop building and then you sell everything and then you walk away to the next project with the profit, and that is not really a good concept for me. As you can see, I live and work in the building that I develop. I always want to have participation in the buildings I created, right? So I felt tired of just being a developer and making money. Although it was not a bad making money process, yet I have more passion than just building buildings that is not part of my life. And another reason why I started to look into providing care to seniors was at the time that I was pretty successful in the real estate development business. My parents in Hong Kong, and so were my wife's parents. Both of them were in very, very tense situation because my mother started to show signs of Alzheimer. And my father was definitely very stressed out because he has to look after my mother, and wherever he goes, he has to take my mother along, and he cannot leave home without her. And so that is a very stressful situation for even my other 5 siblings in Hong Kong. So nobody could really help that much. So I had to, as the youngest son, I was more caring for my own parents. I had to go back to Hong Kong and find a solution for them. And the solution was definitely not great because my father was active, and I just want to let him have freedom and enjoy life because he always likes to go out to gardens and walk and so on. And
very social person.
Social person. Always like talking to like me.
Exactly. I was going to say just like him.
So the only solution I could find was to put them into a nursing home. That was the only place where there is 24-hour nursing staff that can look after the one with Alzheimer. So I felt very bad for my father because he was live and active, but then he has to move into a nursing home together with my mother.
Where
there is no other
suffering.
choice, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other siblings could not help that much because they have their own family and so on. They have their own children to look after. So that was something that really turned me off and said, no, this is not the best way a senior should live their last days of their lives.
And the in-law situation
and
was
the in-law
also...
situation was a totally different situation. My mother-in-law was suffering from Parkinson's, and my father-in-law was just like me too, very active, always wants to go places and so on. But then he has a lot of means. He could afford to engage a whole team of nurses, 3 shifts. And then he could afford to hire a cook in the house. He could afford to have a chauffeur to bring him to places. However, I also found it very unfair to him because then he became the operator of a senior's home. Yeah. Having to manage the nurse, the staff, and also organize to buy the food and becoming what we are now doing at our retirement homes, So and it was stressful the whole family too. By the way, my wife also has siblings, but my wife had to then very often go back to Hong Kong just because one of the nurses may create some problems, and you have to resolve the human resource side. So my wife became the human resource director of my father-in-law's home, and started to make interviews for new staff, and this became really awful. And I say, no, this is not the way that seniors should live their golden lives. They should enjoy life and leave all this kind of
caretaking
and hospitality and housekeeping work to the professionals that can do a much better job, actually.
So out of family stress, and there's people listening now that know exactly the story.
That's how I switched over from being a developer into developing specifically for retirement living. Mm-hmm. And my very first project was in White Rock, known as Crescent Gardens.
That has the forest in the middle, doesn't it?
Yeah, the courtyard with a really tall theater.
Yeah. Have you been inside?
I've been by,
Oh,
yeah. So as an architect and designer, I started to do the concept design, and I put everything together. What I had in that building, which was completed in 1997, I put in the building a lot of choices for seniors. I offered condominiums if they want to buy a condo and live in the community. I offered rental, and I offered assisted living. I offered long-term care as well within one building. So it was pretty well designed in details. So it came out to be extremely good again. And when I was starting to do that project, a lot of very senior operators were looking at me and say, hey, this crazy guy doesn't have a clue as to what complex industry he is into. Because to do something like that, again, you need a lot of creativity, and
you need to put your heart in it, and he definitely did that. He's one of those guys who will be out there with the residents every day, knowing them by name, knowing all of their interests, and So before I started to assemble the land and design it, I of course have to go and visit other operations. I visited all the so-called retirement buildings, but then I found that is not really the way I want it to be, because they are only catering to seniors that are very active, and there is good laughter in the building. But then when somebody really needs the support, it's not there, Not just hospitality support like meals and services, but if there is some need for some assistance for a care aide, from a care aide, that is not available. Well, and from a nurse, care aide is still available.
And so on.
Mm-hmm.
No, even care aides could not deliver that in those days.
Assisted living is well, that's the part. He introduced assisted living, actually.
Yes,
aging in place, and not having to move when complex care comes around.
He was the one that inspired the government to form the Registrar of Assisted Living, and he was the one that formed BC Senior Living Association so that the operators would provide better quality and hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us neatly. Let's bring in a couple of guests here, because if not for that, we wouldn't have our guests here right now. The guests, literally the guests.
Okay.
And actually, Candy, if you wouldn't mind introducing them, because it's really important that these are two of the first people that are getting into Opal, and we want to talk to them about why and why this building.
Well, there's
so
another
special.
aspect of Opal that we have a really key part of Opal in addition to the aging in place that is intergenerational that we mentioned, and it's very fitting that my dad is here with me and mom is here with Doug, and that was a big part of the fit. That I just remember meeting Doug, and then when we all met together, and he was like, I felt like he was taking all the words and everything from my heart out, and like, what did you read every article and hear every single interview I ever did? And it was just amazing how much we were aligned in the vision and values and philosophy. And I remember it was so touching. I was like uncontrollably having tears roll out of my eyes for about an hour. It was like so moving that like our vision and what we're trying to do to make lives better is validated in this family that shares all the same. And when I say intergenerational and like how he created for his parents, Opal was also conceived for my parents. And he shared the story of my mom and my grandma that had Parkinson's. My mom also has Parkinson's, and she's had it for a while. And when we decided to come back into this industry and we were looking for a flagship to be proud of, it was really the moment we decided to come back, it was for me to be able to produce something that they can enjoy their own legacy. So the aging in place for my mom and dad to stay together. And then sorry, it's happening.
This is beautiful.
Your dad is still here by your side.
Yeah. but and I was so desperate to make it happen sooner than later so that my mom can enjoy the life with us and this better quality of lifestyle. While, for me, she really supports our work because she believes in what we do, that we're making lives better, and she supports us wholeheartedly, and we're living and breathing and dreaming it literally in our dreams every night when we sleep, and she supports all of that. But for me to be in meetings and sometimes she needs help and I'm just in the back of my mind always worrying, did mom fall today? Is mom okay today? Is she breathing today? And so, most of the time she's amazing, and I have to say it's because of our family, the force that we are to her. Sometimes when she's having trouble breathing at the dinner table, all 12 of us get up and walk her around the house, sit her down and massage her everywhere, and then she's okay in 5 minutes. And we're not nurses, but that is the love, that is the motivating force. And when I conceived Opal and thought of them moving in there and what it would mean for my mom, how it would actually be a happy place for her, the only way is everything that matters to her is a family, that we should be able to be there, not just visiting, not just for special occasions, not when the grandkids are there and feeling like they have to hold back and not be laughing. They have to sit still and the parents have to say, don't move, don't move. That's not the way that grandkids are supposed to be, and my mom wouldn't be happy seeing that. And also that if the grandkids wanted to visit and stay overnight, well, what other place that offers aging in place, assisted living, licensed care would allow a grandkid to stay? Because all these other places that apply the age covenant is anybody that resides in there is 55 plus. Automatically that stigma applies wherever they're conscious of age and they're burdening society and they need things. And so to remove the stigma, to call it not a senior home, not a retirement home, but just a family home that has support services, hospitality and care, all the chores taken out of life so that families, when they come together, it's a positive, happy dynamic. To remove the stress and the duty. And then suddenly, we feel really privileged that our family is so fortunate that my mom and dad gave their whole life to cultivate what we have, that we are so integrated and close and united. Not that everybody has that, but a lot of it is because of the stress that they face. That logistically, they can't help each other all the time every day. But this is where we can do that and we facilitate it, and then, more families can enjoy what we have. So we want to give other people what we have.
Be together. Top that, you guys.
And one more thing, beautiful. I don't call myself marketing. I really don't think of my role as marketing, because more history there. I was going into medicine, and I worked in nephrology. I worked at St. Paul's Hospital. I was just telling you before we started this show how hard it was for me to feel that suffering around me and that I could hardly breathe sometimes with all that intensity. And that's the thing, when families visit senior homes, it's not that they don't want to visit the seniors. It's sucking the life out of them. It's hard on them. Yeah, and then more than that, like why I moved into this space, my dad having this meaningful business, and I decided not to do medicine because I was volunteering in the homes. I made connections with the residents, and it was such a beautiful feeling. And then I realized the things that my dad was doing, the ability to apply his creativity to break through status quo and not just work with all those rules and regulation that may not actually make any sense, that he can make that difference, where in a public system, in a hospital system, as just one doctor out of this big, huge bureaucracy, I really couldn't do very much. And so getting into this, being in private business, isn't about making money. That's my dad's classic saying. It's doing good while also having a sustainable business that isn't just for the purpose of business. It is so that you can make a difference in this world on an ongoing basis and not go under and then not deliver quality. So that's the context. I'm done with my non-marketing.
Okay.
I have to kick her to stop now.
A facilitator. You're facilitating good things to happen.
Coming up with new ideas and not accepting the fact that why is everything a senior home and retirement home where people feel that they're not contributing, that they're irrelevant, that they're burdening the people that they love and society in general. That's just rethinking the whole model. Like, why does it have to be they're cast aside by age and need?
We will promise to get.
I'm so sorry.
Let's say hello to Douglas Guest first. Hi, Douglas. How are you? And Doug's mom is Michelle. And we're going to talk about your story specifically next and how you got to meet Candy and Dawn and how Opal all came about because that was beautiful. I'm not going to interrupt. That was an amazing account of why you need to find out about this incredible company and Opal by Element 25th and Canby, King Edward and Canby opening up in 2019. And we're going to talk to the residents, I promise, in just a moment here on Boomer Life.
Now we're going to take off our headsets and roll it over to them.
CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.